Hello, and welcome to the Millennial presentation for Group 11 and MIS 7650 at the University of Memphis. This presentation is designed to outline a set of HR policies that a company could implement that would attract and retain employees of the young net generation. This will include easy tweaks in policies as well as significant financial investments that will aid an organization and help them gain a competitive advantage in today's evolving workplace. Since change is an obstacle for all organizations, we will also address the potential reactions of the current workforce and how to go about managing a multi-generational workforce in today's digital world. The net generation loves customization. They don't want to be tied down to a traditional work schedule. Flexible work schedules can attract younger employees and also help the company to operate as a global company that does business 24/7. Companies can also gain a leg up on competitors by operating during non-traditional hours. Flexible work schedules could include working a split day, working from home, working different hours each week, or allowing an employee to create their own schedule. This kind of policy would help reduce turnover because of happy and satisfied workers and would attract a broader talent pool than those who are just willing to work a 9-to-5 job. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, only 5% of employers offer flexible work to the majority of its employees on a regular basis. Telecommuting is an excellent example of flexible work schedule. Employees should have the opportunity to not only work from home, but have the technology to ensure that they can be as effective as if they are physically in the office setting. The net generation thrives on speed, collaboration, and convenience, all of which make telecommuting a great idea for employees. Telecommuting presents a potential increase in employee productivity without the typical distractions and drama of an office setting. Telecommuting would be a great option for an employee working on a project with deadlines who needs to attain some private space for extended periods of time. This option should not be entered into lightly, but the employee should be required to complete a certain amount of education to ensure that they understand how the software and technology works. Telecommuting should only be available to employees after they have proven themselves responsible and deserving of the privilege and gained approval by their manager. According to studies conducted by Stanford University and the University of Minnesota, the net generation is eager to work and can perform at their maximum level with the correct work-life balance. To attract the net generation employees, companies should help integrate work life and personal life. Companies should provide on-site daycare to help accommodate all employees, especially those working non-traditional hours or extended schedules. NetGen employees are also looking for employers to provide activities such as midday yoga or Pilates and other activities to help alleviate the stress associated with such demanding jobs and schedules. Companies could offer fitness classes for employees, and this would encourage health and end up costing the employer less in insurance premiums. Other possible services that could be provided could include on-site financial advising to assist with the retirement and general financial questions. A general practitioner would be a great added benefit so that employees could see a doctor while at work rather than waiting at the doctor's office and potentially missing a day of work. Housing a health and wellness facility on site is a major bonus. NetGenners like the convenience of being able to clock out and go straight to the gym to get their minds off work. For companies who do not have the space or available funds for an on-site gym, they could offer a stipend to employees to help obtain a membership at a local gym such as Lifetime or French Riviera. Monthly lunches are a great opportunity to provide a boost in morale during tough stretches of work. It is a simple, inexpensive way to reward employees for a job well done. Several times a year, the company could purchase the whole office lunch, but as this could be expensive, it could also just provide a small stipend to each department for such items as cake or pizza. The simplest way to execute this would be for each department to hold their own potlucks to celebrate birthdays. People enjoy getting recognition, and this is an easy way to do that. In addition to boosting morale, this also gives some employees a chance to show potential leadership skills by organizing these events. It may seem small, but given the chance, a manager will be able to see who rises to the occasion. Millennials do want to be knowledgeable and aware of the purpose that they serve in an organization. It is easier for departments to function properly and smoothly with other departments when they are familiar with the daily responsibilities of their internal counterparts. Having an understanding of their role in the process flow can lead to an increase in execution effectiveness. Also, for someone fresh into the workforce, this would give them an opportunity to see if maybe they would like to explore a different avenue than their current career path. The ability to leap into another department upon opening is both valuable for the employer and the employee. This program could be something like once a year for a month, maybe 6 hours a day. An example of this would be the transportation people working with accounting or the sales team working. Even though millennials are sometimes viewed as lazy or selfish, they care a surprising amount about the world and those in it, especially in the age of social media where a cause can go viral internationally in a matter of hours. A very recent example of this is the Ice Bucket Challenge, which raised awareness for ALS. More proof that millennials care can be seen through such activities as the recent crowdsourcing phenomenon, which allows people to raise money for a cause through online donations. When choosing an employer, NetGeners do take into consideration the philanthropic efforts that companies go through. The ability to easily become involved in a program such as Habitat for Humanity or Angel Tree is a factor when deciding who to work for. A great way to retain millennial talent and also keep older generations involved is through frequent performance reviews. Millennials like to have frequent feedback to know if they are on the right track and what they can do better at their job. Companies could institute monthly one-on-one reviews where they sit down with your direct supervisor and gauge progress on current projects and overall performance. I think this would help an employee get a feel for what they can do to help their respective teams more often than just a once or twice a year review. Short-term goals can be very effective and encouraging when you meet or exceed them. It is good to celebrate the small wins that lead to a better overall scope. Also, have some sort of peer review where your coworkers get to submit anonymously a review of you to your manager, so that if there are any issues you or a coworker is causing, the manager can be made aware. If there are any reoccurring issues that are the result of a generational gap, the manager will be made aware through this and can take the necessary steps to move past. As we have mentioned before, millennials appreciate being able to communicate with those in high-ranking positions. A quarterly review with your supervisor's boss would provide an opportunity for just that. This would give one direct exposure to those higher up on the ladder and give them a chance to showcase their talents and skills. This would also help upper management when it came time for raises, promotions, based upon personally having had interaction with potential candidates. Workers in the Net generation grew up communicating via text, chat, and the internet. Social media for them is not simply entertainment or goofing off, it is a communication tool, like email. For them, checking for messages on Facebook is akin to checking voicemail on their phone. Employers shouldn't have social media policies that ban all usage. Instead, companies should adopt social media policies that allow limited use of social media as long as it doesn't interfere with work. For the Net generation, it is not unusual to do multiple things at once or use social media for a few minutes as a way to get a mental break. Many of today's workers are knowledge workers, so unlike in the past generations who worked more labor and factory jobs and took a 15-minute rest from physical labor, today's workers need mental breaks. Social media is a way of allowing employees to have mental breaks during the workday, which could increase productivity. In today's society, there are many companies who use social media to communicate with their customers. It only makes sense to realize that the Net generation employees can use social media as well. Members of the Net generation often think differently than older employees because they grew up constantly adapting to new technologies. They have a lot of new ideas and they want to be heard. They also want to feel like their opinions matter. Companies should find a way for younger employees to present ideas and have an open line of communication with company executives and senior managers. One way of doing this is through social media. Grown Up Digital states that people in the Net generation like to collaborate via social media. Employers could create a group on LinkedIn that the company's CEO and executives join, and all employees are also invited to join. This can be a forum where new employees and veterans can exchange ideas and make suggestions. It will also allow employees the opportunity to communicate directly with management and company executives that they may not ordinarily have had access to. The Net generation has grown up using the latest technologies and the internet. New communication tools are released constantly, and many of them change the way business is done. Smartphones and tablets change the culture at many companies and have made instant communication the norm. Still, many employees still use their personal cell phones for work, and companies often aren't investing in the latest hardware or software to allow employers to keep up with the trend. Companies can provide work tools such as smartphones and tablets that will allow everyone to communicate quickly and collaborate virtually. Make a commitment to keep with technological advances and provide employees with these tools would attract next generation employees. And also, for those baby boomers who are not familiar with technology, the company could allow a younger employee to offer training sessions to educate those inexperienced with the technology. Who wouldn't want to work for a company that supplied you with the latest tablet or smartphone? When the company is rolling out new changes, they need to understand their workforce. In other words, they will have to cater their message to its audience. In order for the new changes to be successful, everyone will have to be on the same level no matter their differences. According to the book, everyone fears change in their own way, even the NetGen. The baby boomers resisted the NetGen, and now the older NetGen group is resisting the younger. When bringing in change, the message will have to attract everyone and bring everyone behind the movement, whether it is new technology or policy changes. This can be done by efficient communication in smaller, concentrated groups. The more the generations can build personal relationships, the more accepting they will be of each other and new opinions. The book states that the older generation can be compared to a large, unmovable force, whereas the younger net generation is free-willed. Both of these need to be considered when implementing change. Regardless of the audience, a clear and concise timetable needs to be put into effect when implementing change. Deviating from this will create uncertainty and resistance to change. Older generations of employees have to be told why the change is needed. They need a well-defined reason as to why and how it benefits them and the company. For example, answer the following question in detail. In what way will this new technology profit the company? Or, will I see a significant improvement in my productivity with this new technology that justifies the cost? Clear direction is needed not only for those who are implementing the change, but also those who it is going to affect. A lot of times employees hear about change but never know if they will even be involved with it. It's very disconcerting for an employee to hear about change and not know if they will need to be prepared for it. This can turn a workforce against. The how process is the most important because if the employees do not receive clear and concise direction on how we are to implement the change into the workforce, it will never get accepted. When developing the how, the company should be very specific and each step needs to be catered to the person, people executing the change. When implementing change, the company needs to assume everyone is ignorant to the new technology. With that being said, everyone will need some form of change, whether they are the older generation or not. The company needs to make sure everyone affected by the new technology has the training available to them. This company can no longer develop a one-size-fits-all training program. They also need to remember that their workforce is diverse and develop training in a very specific way. Also, the book states that the modern generation prefers hands-on and interactive training. The days of sitting in a lecture room or in front of a computer for training is no longer accepted. With that being said, the older generation is used to being spoon-fed information. Both sides should be considered. Also, training should not end once the change is implemented. Support should be available following the change, whether that is a wiki page or follow-up classes and discussions. Netgenophobia is a symptom of a looming generation gap between the boomers and the netgen. This needs to be taken into consideration when implementing change, which the company needs to remember that the gap exists and cater to it. The company needs to remind everyone that change is a part of an evolving company and they need to accept it. The need to remind the older generation that not accepting change is not acceptable and must be worked through. The barrier created by the older generation needs to be broken down and the company has to get them on board with the change. Doing things like chat sessions and brainstorming meetings to find the best ways for them to accept this will be extremely beneficial. Also, the company has to do a good job with reminding its workforce that in order to stay competitive, they have to change. In other words, change is necessary for the future of any company. The book says that rather than shake their heads, the boomers should embrace the positive attributes of this generation as an opportunity to change in order to position themselves to win in the 21st century. The net generation is very adept at communication and collaboration. This collaborative energy needs to be funneled towards multiple generations joining forces and sharpening each other. Collaboration is essential in the workplace, therefore we must learn more about each other in order to learn how to work well together. Team building not only teaches us about our coworkers, but can also show us our own strengths and opportunities. Employers should offer weekly team building sessions that are open to all employees. Although all sessions are not required, it gives everyone the opportunity to participate. Team building exercises are necessary to foster better relationships with coworkers, improve communication skills, develop trust, and boost morale in the workplace. A great way to keep the generations involved with each other is to have a professional mentorship program that would pair a more experienced baby boomer with a NetGener. This mentor could be from another department so as not to be a supervisor and to eliminate the show of favoritism. There could be structured training and monthly meetings to go over progress and just to get to know each other. These types of programs would help build internal relationships that could lead to an increase in retention of younger employees if they feel they have an emotional tie to the company or someone that they highly respect in it. In conclusion, there is an exceptional young talent out there among the tech-savvy NetGeners. They are ambitious and anxious to make an impact on the world in many ways. There is a distinct advantage waiting to be had from the organizations who are able to attract and retain top Gen X talent. To do this, a company must evolve and institute new policies and find ways to combat the resistance to change and the old way of doing things. For the companies out there who are able to accomplish this, the sky is the limit.